Good morning, all the student. Uh, today's topic is material planning and control. I'm going to give you some thoughts and ideas about the topic, and of course, if you want to know more, you can contact to us through phone or through WhatsApp. So first of all, we'll understand the topic, that what is the meaning of material planning, and then what are the factors which affect the material planning, the activity of material planning. So we'll start with meaning of material planning. So material planning is a scientific technique. As you're saying, this is a scientific technique. It is of determining in advance. Advance means you have to prepare the plan much before. So what you need to do advance, you have to collect the requirement of raw materials, ancillaries, parts and components, spares, etc., and which is as directed by the production program. So as per the production program, you have to plan for the raw materials, ancillaries, parts and components, spares, etc. So this is all about the meaning of material planning, which you have to done before the production starts. Now I think it is a subsystem in the overall planning activities. It is a subsystem. There are so many factors which also influence the activity of material planning. So what are these factors? We'll discuss. So the majorly we can divide these factors in two type of factors, that is micro factors and macro factors. First of all, we'll discuss what are the different micro factors which influence the material planning process, in which the first micro factor is plant capacity utilization. What is plant capacity utilization? Basically, every plant has some capacity, and to know about the production plan, sometime we are using the entire plant capacity, sometime we use below our capacity. So your planning should not be as per the plant capacity. Your planning should be according to plant capacity utilization, how much you are utilizing the plant capacity. The next is rejection rate. Basically, whenever you plan for the raw material, there is always some rejection is there also. In case of raw material, in case of spare parts, in case of components. So it depends upon how much rejection is there. If the rejection rate is very high, then you have to procure the material, you have to plan for the much more than you planned, because if the rejection rate is high, your production can be hampered. So if your rejection rate is very low, then in case whatever you planned, you just procure that much. So rejection rate is also there. The third point is lead time. Your planning should be according to the lead time. First of all, what is lead time? This is the total time whenever you place an order for a raw material or for any components, in how many days, in how many weeks you will get that material in your plant. So that is lead time. When the order get placed and when you receive that material, that gap between these two time period is called lead time. So based upon your lead time, then inventory levels. What is your inventory levels? Inventory levels is also important, because if you have good inventory levels, then your planning should be according to your inventory levels also, because if there is a material is there in inventory, so you don't need to procure much before. So next is if inventory level is very low, then you have to procure material as early as possible. Then is working capital. Working capital is basically the amount of money you have for your regular operation, your day-to-day basis operation. So if working capital is low, then you have to work very low. You have to work in a very low inventory level. So that is also one of the factors. And last one is delegation of power. Delegation of power is basically if sometime what happen due to centralization, the decision regarding purchase of raw material components getting delayed. So that also affects your material planning, and that also affects your that can hamper your production program also. So you have to very sure about the delegation of power and authority to your subordinate. This is all about micro factor. The next is macro factor. So macro factor, the first point is price trends. Price trend is basically it is the pricing of your raw material. If throughout the year or throughout the month the rate is not changing much, so you can plan accordingly. That you can purchase one at a time, or you can purchase weekly basis or monthly basis, or you can have according to the price levels. Then next one is business cycle. Business cycle is also some of the business are of cyclic level, means it is a seasonal type. So you have to plan according to the season, that whether we can purchase for that particular season only. It should not exceed after the season ends. So business cycle is also important. And then government policy and import policy. This is also one of the macro factor, means what are the different import or government policies. If sometime when you procure material from outside or from other countries, so you have to be very careful about that material, because as per the government norms, it is dynamic. Government norms or import policies changing. So if it is getting changed, so you will be in problem. So that is why you have to take care of the government policy or import policy before giving orders for raw material or equipments. So these are the factors, macro factors. So based upon our micro and macro factors, we can understand how we can plan the material, and how we can control our inventory also. So in the next topic we'll talk about the techniques of material planning, and then we talk about the inventory control and inventory control technique. So thank you guys. Thank you student. If you have any problem, you can call me in my number. Okay. Thank you.